Hello, dear teachers. Welcome back to this space. Today, let's talk about effective classroom management, strategies for teachers. So, what do we have for today? First, establishing daily routines, classroom layouts, and organization, the power of consistency, and also closing and call to action. Everything is about organization and classroom routine. So, let's begin. First of all, establishing daily routines, it is a very important step for us in order to know what we're going to do, what we have to do later on, and what we are going to end up with. So, start of class routine. Setting up activities that immediately engage students upon entering. So this means that from the very beginning, you should set these activities in order to let them know what to do. Or you can implement reading, do now activities that is going to help them a lot to know what to start from. For example, start a class with a greeting and a simple task on the board to set a positive tone. This can be a great example too. But also I would like to show you that morning meeting ideas for the classroom are another option that you can implement in your classes when you start your course. And then let's move on to end of a class routine, because we have and we know that it's necessary to recap the lesson with a quick review or reflection, helping students consolidate their learning process. And also, I can tell you that it's a great idea to end up and to ask them, what did we learn today? But this is a traditional way of doing this recap. But I can show you today this roulette that is going to implement all the steps and all the elements that you should integrate into a ending of class to know how the students are learning and what they have learned into the class that you just are finishing up. And also, let's talk about something important. Transition is a simple, they are simple strategies like timers or music cues to transition smoothly between activities, minimizing downtime. In this case, we can also offer these strategies that classroom management expert has written for us, and I invite you to go and read these strategies because they are very useful for us in order to put them into practice in our classes. So as you can see here, we can read every strategy that they are going to offer us. Also, I would like to tell you that we have examples of songs during transitions, because sometimes singing is a way of relaxing too. And this is going to keep our students' engagement into the content, but smoothly moving on to the next step or activity. For example, in the morning, we can just sing a morning song like a meeting, or we can just base on the calendar by months of the year or by the number, right, of this day. We can focus on reading or literacy too. Classroom meeting only one person, like if you do like a karaoke or any work, but it's going to be by one, right? Like in setting up according to your list or according to the number or any other idea that you have. And also end of the day, the affirmation song by Dougie Land, because here we have examples. So this is a great one that leaves our students' mind in the setting of, okay, studying is not that hard, but it's going to help me to understand and to learn more things, right? So this is according to establishing daily routines, and you know that you have to set activities for start of the class routine, end of the class routine, and of course, transitions. Now, let's move to the number 2, classroom layout and organization. And here I would like to ask you this question. How do you organize the physical classroom space for smoother classroom management? Can you walk through the all rows in your class? Can you take the control of every activity that your students are going to do? Here I can mention three special elements: desk arrangement, material accessibility, and clear pathways. So let's talk of the first one, which is desk arrangement, which is the different setups that you give to your classes, yes, or to your classrooms, into group tables or semicircles, or depending on the teaching style that you have, such as discussion, focus, or independent work. And I can tell you that this is a great example on how to organize our material in our classroom, especially if we have these desks that are brand new. And this is like a polishing this type of desk that can offer us a lot of benefits for our students. First of all, they can work either in groups or individually. Also here, we never think about our students that are right-handed, because this is just naturally as we think. But what about left-handed students? We have to think about them too. Or what about if they're going to be using their computers? And in the desk, in the classical or traditional desk, there is no space. Also here, according to the space of your classroom, you have to take in account all these disabilities that our students can have, because sometimes we have these special cases in our classrooms. So everything we have to take in account. Also, one more thing that I would like to tell you, it is the arrangement, right? How we're going to be comfortable in our tables or our seating space if it's too high or too low. We don't know how they're going to feel. Some of our students are very short, or some of them are tall. So we have to think on that too. This is a great example that we can take into account when we want to talk about desk arrangement. Also, I would like to move to material accessibility, because here you have to ensure that materials are within reach to prevent distractions or disruptions. Sometimes our students are very small, as I told you before, so they need to take things or materials that are too high. So you have to set these spaces, special spaces for our material, in order that our students are going to be comfortable and they're going to be able to get anything that they need to work with. So I'm going to continue here with our clear pathway, which is maintaining open walkways to facilitate movement and minimize congestion. And it is important whenever you work with kids or with teenagers, or even though with adults, because we don't know where to put our backpacks or our material, maybe some things that we're going to be using in a special class. So this is a great example of how we can manage all the space, and clear pathways is going to help us a lot in order to find a specific space for each material. So it is important for us to take this into account. Also, I would like to move on to power of consistency. And it is important because it helps a student to know what to expect and build habits over the time. As I told you before, if you start with these activities from the very beginning of your course or this period of semester by semester, it's going to be better for them and for you too. Because establishing firm routines in the first few weeks of school sets the tones for the entire year. So it's going to be a great benefit for you. Don't forget to stick to your routines. Sometimes we change activities, and if you change an activity, that is not a routine. A routine is something that you do every single day at a specific period of time. So in this case, you cannot change an activity that is going to not be part of your routine. And even if it takes time, students will adapt and it will become second nature. So in this case, they are going to be used to this activity. Sometimes we forget this activity. For example, okay, let's start with our class today, and they are like, what about the song? We should be singing the song. Oh yes, right? So we are forgetting it. This is a step. But if they are used to it, they are going to know that first it is a song, and then we can start with our material content. So what's consistency? I can tell you a little bit more about consistency, and it says that it's the ability to maintain a set pattern, behavior, or approach over the time. It signifies reliability and predictability in actions or outcomes. Through consistency, individuals and entities build strong. So demonstrate discipline and achieve long-term results, which is something that we are looking for with our students in order to learn all the content that we are sharing. Great example of this, I can tell you, daily journaling. Keeping a daily journal for years showcases consistency in personal reflection and commitment. But one that I use and I love it, it's daily gardening. Watering a plant regularly, ensuring its growth and health, it's exemplifying a consistency in care and routine. So I obviously put it into practice with my students, and you should do it because it helps us a lot. So this is the importance of consistency in applying routines and managing expectations. Now, to closing and call to actions, what we have learned today, I can tell you these advices. You have to start from very small activities, introducing one or two key routines to begin with in your classes. You cannot implement all together. No, you have to set a couple of them to start with. And then routines are vital for reducing chaos and building structures in your classes. So this is something important for you. And also, I would like to share with you a great example here on how we can go for what's a class routine, what's a class rule, and what's a class policy, because they are not the same. They are totally different things. So I would like to set this for you in order that you know what's the difference. Class rule is something that we have to let them know from the very beginning of our course. In this case, they are going to be allowed to do things or do not do things. For example, one of these class rules that I can mention today is be on time for classes. They have only 5 minutes wait, and then if they are not right there on 5 minutes later from the time, they know that they are not going to be available of coming into class, or maybe they're going to lose points, right? So it depends on you, but this is a great class rule. Another that I can mention is choose your study space in the case that they are working on online classes, because sometimes they are laying on the bed or on the couch, and those are not spaces that they should be using for study. No food or drinks in class. Either it's a presential or virtual class, it is better if they don't have any kind of food or drinks, because if they are in a presential class, they are going to be eating in classes and they lose attention, so that is not good. And if they are online classes, they can drop or anything, any like water on their devices, and it's going to be a danger for them. So I can recommend this another classroom. Another that I would like to share is the raising the hand to participate. It's important because sometimes all together want to speak, but we have to let them know if they don't raise their hands, they are not allowed to speak. Also, turn on your microphones to participate. It is important too, because sometimes they don't do it, they just type. But if, for example, if it's an English class, we should expect to listen to their practice in English. Number 6, it's like no phones during class unless it's needed, because sometimes we need the cell phone, right? But they're going to be on the cell phone all the time, losing their attention. So please let them know that only when it's needed, they're going to be using their cell phones. Respect and encourage each other. It's another that I would like to share, because they have to help others and also respect them. And one of these that I love and I would like to share with you, this is the last but not least, is to turn on your camera. If they are on online classes, it is an important fact that we can manage with them in order to know what they're doing, if they are right there or not. So these are examples on classroom routines. Now, these are class rules. Now let's move on to class routines. Class routines are going to be something that they have to stick to follow during all the class. For example, here we have the example of a course routine, which is pretty much the same, because a class or a course, it's just a period of time that it changes. But I can show you here that participate in every activity to start the class. We as teachers know what it's a warm-up, but they don't know what's the term meaning, right? So we can say, okay, class, let's start with our first activity. That's what I do with my students, and that helps a lot, because when I start, I tell them, okay, class, stand up. And when I forgot about my warm-up, they say, oh, Miss, I'm missing the stand-up. And I know that stand-up means that we're going to participate. We are going to do our warm-up. So this is a recommendation for you to let them know that it's an activity, but omit the word warm-up because they don't know the term, okay? Now, number 2, collaborate with classmates to review each other's writing tasks, because sometimes it's needed. So especially when we focus on languages or on literature, maybe we can ask them to help each other. Another routine that I would like to mention is read out loud in every reading activity. Because sometimes, are you reading? Yes, but you have to read out loud, and they're like, okay, right? So we have to motivate them in order that they practice in class, but they also are going to practice in their house. Analyze and participate in each group discussion, debating the given topics. Because sometimes they know that they have to participate, but they don't want it because we never mentioned this. So it is important to set these routines from the very beginning. And also check the course calendar to deliver homework on time, because it is important to tell them, please check your calendar, please do your homework, and etc. And finally, course policies, because these 3 are not the same. I told you already, and I mentioned again, because right now here are the list of things that they can follow according to be applied in their class. Attendance. You may lose points for unexcused absence or tardiness. So this means that they cannot be only like, oh, miss, I couldn't come yesterday, and that's it. No, because they have to give you a reason why they're missing a class. Another thing, it is the grading. Sometimes we ask them, okay, 50 points, 60 points, 80 points for homework and quizzes. That'll be great whenever they want to do a little bit more than just having a 60 points, for example. Grading late, we have here grading. Late homework may incur a deduction of points per activity. So this means that they have to deliver on time. And this comes to our next policy that it says due dates 1 week to work. So they know that they have to deliver their homeworks on Friday from each week. If they have started from Monday, they can follow through all these days and deliver on Friday. And also something important, task originality, that may have consequences for originality, for work, plagiarism, and the use of copy information. this is important for them too, because if we don't ask them for a reference or biography, they don't know how to do it, right? So please, everyone, take in count this very important information to share with your students. And also coach office hours, please. Because sometimes, oh no, I turn off my data because my students are calling me, are sending me messages. So please, you have to set a time of communication with your students. Either it's going to be on email, on text messages, WhatsApp, or any other way that you're going to communicate with them. You have to set your time. So in order that they can ask you for doubts, or you're going to be asking them, for example, maybe why they couldn't deliver the homework, right? So in this order, in this case, you're going to be organizing your time and their time too. So this is the examples that I wanted to share with you. Hopefully you have learned a lot today with this information. And I want to end up with this question. What is your go-to classroom routine? What are you going to do now that you know that you have to follow a routine in your class? Share it in the comments, please. If you now have some idea on what to do in your classes, please feel free to comment right here. And then also, thank you very much for your attention. We're going to have a second part and a third part, so please be ready, because we have more information for you to have very nice classes and to make it easier for you, but also to make it worthy for your students. Thank you so much. This is Miss Tania presenting for you. See you next time. Bye-bye.